Hi everyone and welcome to this amazingly large pouring project. As you can see, we go a bit bigger this time and the canvas has a size of 50 by 150 centimeters. So pretty large, and I will make the inch comparison here in the video just in typing. So you can see all the colors that I'm going to use here, which is a gold, it is the blue, the phthalocyanine blue, it's a metallic red, it's a metallic turquoise, it's a purple, white, black, and another white cup for the underlayer. So those are all the colors that I'm going to use for this pour, and I want to try or challenge myself in doing a ring pour as I did so often, but not only one ring pour, it is about more like 3 on 1 canvas. So what I was trying to do is making a ring pour, tilting the canvas, and then the inner part of the ring pour, which more or less glides the most. I wanted to make another pour in there where it stops and there is no more paint to spread around, and make another ring pour in there and then tilt again and again. So this was my initial plan. I really liked the result and I was really happy with it. And for this project I also made 2 different ending versions. So the first video clip that you will see in the end is where I film on a close-up the red just poured version, and then I will also have another version where I film everything outside in sunlight when it is dry already. So just to give you an impression how different everything looks in the wet and the dried version. Because so often these pours look super fancy, great and awesome, overwhelmingly rich in contrast when they are wet and freshly poured, and lose so much of their definition once they are dry. And this is the reason why I always show you the end result, because this is the result that counts in the end. And just to make you aware that you must know your paints. So when you make these pours, especially larger ones, and you go from the red paint look and think it's super pretty and don't know how your paints are going to dry in the end, the result can be completely different, especially when you use yellows, almost dry, translucent or a bit see-through. So you will more likely see the underlayer through the yellow when it's dry instead of the red version. So these are some things that you should keep in mind when you're pouring, and many of you for sure already know that. So just if you're really new to this medium and enjoy pouring as much as we all do here, start from smaller sizes and just see how your paints react and how they behave when they are drying, and then scale up. I did the very same thing and it felt really comfortable this way, so I was able to adapt to challenges and difficulties that did arise on the go. And while you are listening to my lovely voice and watching carefully what I did pour into my 3 cups, you already might have realized that this was again really much paint. And you also might have seen that some of the paints just broke through the other paint layers, especially for the phthalo blue and the white. I'm pretty sure you have noted this on your own pouring attempts already. So there are pigments that are heavier than other pigments, especially for the titanium white, which is a really heavy pigment. So even if you have mixed your paints to the exact same consistency as all your other paints, the white paint is most likely to break through all the layers and sink to the bottom of the cup. So if you want to not intermix your colors, you should use the white paint on the bottom, so that it's not breaking through all the other paints and intermixing already in the cup. And if you want to have some lacing and those effects which I achieve when I make the Saturn ring pours kind of thing, you will also see it here in this pour. You can add white in between, which will partially sink to the bottom of the cup, drag some paint with them and make some other color shifts in between. So this is something to keep in mind, and even if you want to increase this effect, you can pour the white a bit more up high so that there is more pressure on the paint when it hits the paint. And when you want to have the white more or less stay where it is, go as close as you can to your paints and pour from very low so that the kinetic energy when it hits the paint is as low as possible. Or put a spoon or something in between just to grab this energy from the paint to have it sit on top if you want to have it layered there. Just something to keep in mind. So when I filled up all my cups here with the layers of paint, I made a base layer of the second white cup that I've mixed. And this cup was not made with Artina white, it is just a very cheap, simple acrylic paint which I can get in buckets. It is not as great for pouring as for thicker layers, it tends to crack a bit. It's really a cheap craft paint, and it's only very great for these underlayer paints. So something to have your paints glide over. And in case you did not hear me saying this in other videos before, the base layer paint is not really necessary, but it really helps for the entire design, especially when you make some things like these ring pours. When you make the ring pours, you of course want to keep the rings, and most of the rings are forming in the beginning, so they are spreading outwards. And when you have no base layer of paint and tilt your paint over the canvas, most of these rings are going to roll over and not be visible in the end, because the rest amount of paint just rolled over it and buried it on the ground of the canvas. So having this base layer of paint allows the paint to flow easier, and less of the poured rings are going to roll over and be hidden in the end. So this is something to keep in mind. It depends how much paint you have and what you want to achieve there. The underlayer doesn't really have to be white, as I've told in many videos as well. I do scrape up my drip of paints from all my pours and put them into a large jar. It was a protein powder jar from Patrick, so just a large jar with a lid where you can put your paints into it and have it sealed airtight. The paint color that you're going to achieve in the end is a more neutral gray, so if you mix all these different drip of colors together, it is not really a pretty color, but it's a neutral color, and this is working for almost any of these underlayer paints. Because if you pour over, the first base layer paint is going to be pushed apart and drip off anyways, or is covered with new layer of paint and is not really disturbing at all. If you plan to use silicone in your pours, I would not recommend the base layer paint with a grayish tone, because it tends to go through the silicone and at some areas it might pop up, which really is not that pretty to look at. But if you have a silicone free pour, like I do with the ring pours here, this is totally fine to be used as a base layer paint and will not show up at all. I did this a couple of times and it really worked great. And even if you think about adding some dark black pigments to your mixture, the grayish mixture, you can even darken it down. It will not work with white because you will never get it white again. But if you add a highly pigmented black into it, you will get it to a dark gray or even black itself. So this is something you can keep in mind. You can save a lot of money because you have this leftover paints to use for another project. So just in case you did not do this until now. And coming back to the artwork itself, the white paint I just poured on the canvas and used the spatula to spread it around to have an even coverage on the canvas. If you want to help yourself out, you can even use a spray bottle with water. And I myself, I just use these disinfection kitchen sprays that you can use to disinfect stuff. And when it's empty, I just clean it up and fill water in there just to have something to mist water. You can also use a plant spray bottle, which you use to water plants, just to spray some water, whatever you need. You can just pour water on there and spread it with your hands. It's just the same, basically. So if you wet your canvas first and make your base layer of paint on this afterwards, you have an even easier job spreading your base layer paint, and it will not dry as quickly because the canvas is already soaked, and then you can pour over. There is so many possibilities that you can do. And I would say the larger the canvas, the more preparation is a good thing to do to give you an easier life afterwards. So for canvases this size and even larger, I normally do wet the canvas. This has the advantage that the fabric itself tightens a bit and the canvas gets less saggy, so it's more stable. And the fabric is soaked with water, so the base layer of paint will not dry as quickly. And when you pour finally the pour paint, everything is going a bit smoother, I would say. And yeah, so this was everything in the preparation phase that I did. And as there is not so much to say about the pouring itself and the tilting, which you can see in the video, I'm going to talk about a topic which was on my mind the last month. And yeah, I'm really curious what your thoughts are for it. And yeah, this is the topic to be. So, I was thinking about starting my Patreon, and you might think, what? Another one going to Patreon? I am probably one of the last people trying this out. And for those of you who do not know what Patreon is, this is basically a monthly subscription website where you can, become a Patreon to whatever artist. There are musicians, there are painting artists, there are Kickstarters, there's a wide range of people there on Patreon seeking for support, so to speak. And in return you get some benefits. So that means you can make up tiers for a special price range where people can apply to or sign up for, and they get the rewards that come with these tiers. And I was playing with this idea for some time now, and I honestly was never really sure if Patreon would be something working for me. Because, I do not really see myself as a person who can give so many benefits in terms of physical benefits, because I feel myself more like being a teacher and a guy to contact if any problems arises during the art process. So I really was not sure what I can offer on Patreon. What people are probably going to support me for or want to join a certain tier. But the general idea did not really leave me alone over the last month. Because, as I've told you in so many videos, my personal dream goal would be becoming a full-time artist one day. And this would just be a small step towards this direction, depending on how many people will be willing to support me there and join me there. So this is something I was really not sure about. But over the last weeks and months, I had so many people commenting on my videos and giving me support, especially emotional support there. And liked my videos, and my community here is growing, which is super awesome, and I cannot really thank you enough for this. So I decided to give Patreon a go and see where this road is going to take me, if people are willing to support me or if it's just YouTube, which remains interesting. And I made up my mind, so I will make a list of the tiers that I have in mind, and I would really appreciate all your comments and feedback on this. If you think this is a reasonable approach, if you think it's a good idea at all, if you think I could add something else or change some things, I'm really open for your suggestions, just to see where this road is going to take us all, so to speak. Well, in general, I was thinking about having the first tier, which is basically a supportive tier where nothing is coming in return. So like a $2 tier, which means you'll pledge about $2 a month for nothing in return, just to support me and my channel and my personal goal to become an artist. I of course will continue making YouTube, so this has nothing to do with each other. I will not leave YouTube at all, so no, don't worry at all. This is just a supportive tier. Next tier I thought about making it $5 a month. So this is the first tier where you can get something in return actually, and I thought about adding a special Patreon only video 1 time or 2 times per month, which I'm going to dedicate to the questions and comments to the subscribers of this tier. So if there is a topic that everyone wants me to address, I can make a special video for this topic, or topics or whatever is actually requested for many people. I can make votes and such in there. So this is something I can dedicate to this tier level actually. The next tier I thought was about $10 a month, which will also get the benefits from the $5 tier of course, but I will also make 1 live video per month I think, where we can just hang out and chat together. So more like a Q&A, or I pour something, or I draw, paint, so whatever is requested. I can work on some project and I can answer comments and questions on the go. So I already talked with Patrick and he will be super happy to join me on this, making the moderator of the chat, just moderating the chat so that I can concentrate myself on the artwork itself, and he more or less gives me the questions and replies and I can comment on this and answer. I thought this is a cute idea to get in touch even more on a personal level and interact more. Basically the main tier that I have in mind for those who want to connect even more, who want to get a bit more in touch with me and to build up a stronger community helping out each other. And then I was thinking about 1/4 and very special tier, because over the last month and weeks I had so many requests about making a personal workshop or workshops in general, when I am in a certain city or area or even country, which of course is super great, and I feel really honored by getting those requests. But it also comes with difficulties on both sides. Of course, making a workshop here in Leipzig, where I live, or in Germany in general, is pretty simple to organize because it's, well, my country and I live here, and so I do know all the stuff that I need to know about the organization. But especially when it comes to people subscribing to a special workshop, my subscribers are really spread over the entire planet, so it might be really hard to get enough people together for one workshop to make it work for the entire idea. And especially when coming to the US or another country, this even increases the amount of things to prepare and to have in mind. And one of the most important factors, of course, is the traveling costs. So whenever there is a workshop or something which is not located in your city, you will have to move to the city where the workshop is. And this involves traveling costs, especially as I do not expect anyone from the US or Canada or Australia coming to Germany just for a workshop. So I thought about why not digitalize it and make a tier on Patreon, which I thought about limiting to about 5 people or so per month, which can get a personal workshop atmosphere with me. And Patrick, perhaps. It depends what project is planned. And I thought about perhaps a 1-2 hour, whatever it needs, workshop per month on a topic decided by you. And we can make a live hangout and talk about stuff. So challenges that you are facing with your acrylic pouring, with your oil painting, with your sketching, charcoal, color pencil, whatsoever. So I would really love to see if this tier works for me, because I feel to be like the teacher kind of person who likes helping people out, like I do with my YouTube actually. But this is actually a tier where I can really put time into and yeah, make this work for all of us. So this was a lot of talking about this topic of Patreon. I really would love to hear what you're thinking about it. If my thoughts are in a good direction, if the tiers are logical and genuine for you, if you think it is a good idea in general, or if you do not mind at all joining me on Patreon. I really have no idea where this road is going to take me, but of course I would be super honored to see a couple of you supporting me there as well. If you decide to not to do this and just watch my YouTube videos, this is totally fine, of course. I'm not going to cry. Perhaps a bit. No, this is totally fine. So if you want to show your support by watching my videos and clicking my product links and all the stuff, leaving me super sweet comments, this is just perfect. I really love this. I just want to see if this can be another level of support and getting closer to my personal dream, so to speak. For now, I think that's it. I'm not really sure how to address this topic in future videos. Perhaps I just make a small intro, some bullet points. I have no idea. If you have any ideas how I can make this short, crisp and entertaining for future videos. No, I'm not going to sing or dance, if this was any of the suggestions. Yeah, let me know. And for now, thanks for listening, for those who listened. Yeah, it really means a lot to me. So thank you again for this. And now let's finally continue concentrating on the video itself. I hope you so far had fun watching. And yeah. And this is the final result. What do you guys think? It turned out completely different than I expected in the beginning, but I really like the end result. I kind of loved that each of these areas looks a bit different. I like the right side where everything is more like feathered, like the looks that I achieved in the past videos and projects. I kind of like this red ribbon that is crossing through the entire thing, almost at the middle. Perhaps I would have loved it to be more feathered than it is, but there was no way for me to change it. So I just poured too much of the red at once in the cup, and yeah, it's just what it is. This black area though is really pretty. It's beautiful. You will have some close-ups in the very end, and this is just, it looks like a rupture within this painting, and these little cells forming on the bottom of this black area, they are just so beautiful. It looks like space and as if there is a galaxy. This probably is my most favorite part of the entire thing, and I just love it. Really, it's great. Sorry. And as you can see here in the red phase, this purple is really taking over the entire piece and overwhelmingly bright. I know for sure that this is not going to look like in the very end as it is here. This stuff is going to dry super dark like the blue does, and it will make a great contrast against the gold that is on the upper left edge of the piece. So I'm just going to hover over there to let you see each part and section in a close-up. And then outside in the sun you can see how everything looks in the dried version. And this is really different than what you can see in the wet version. Especially because the metallic colors are not really metallic in the red phase, but really turn out shiny and pretty once everything is dried. Nevertheless, I hope you liked the video. If you liked this video and my result, please make sure to give me a thumbs up, and even better, subscribe to my channel if you have not done already. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave me down in the comment section. And if you want to see which materials I've used or want to connect with me on social media, you will find all these details in my description box below of the video. Please make sure to share this video with everyone you know. If you want to adopt some of my original artworks, I currently have a sale until mid of November on my Etsy store. If you want to get something for Christmas or for yourself, whatever, I would be super happy to send you some of my artworks. And again, thank you so much for watching my video. I'm currently having about 2 or 3 videos coming a week, covering all different kinds of media and materials and techniques. So there are tons of videos already there that you might want to check out. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching. And other than that, I hope to see you in my next videos. Have a great day. Bye bye.